We are now over halfway through the year 2023, and I thought this is a good time to look back at the 4K Blu-ray releases that we have had this year and what some of the best ones have been. Now, it was actually quite hard to narrow this down, so I've got quite a big stack that I've just chosen a few from here. But if you like this video and you want to see more, I can do a follow-up video to this one, picking out a few further great 4K discs from this year. So let's kick things off with a celebration. It is 100 years of Warner Brothers, and they have decided to release some great films on the 4K format. And here I hold a box set which features 5 of those films. Now, some of these have been released previously on 4K, so I'm not talking about those ones. But 2 are new to 4K this year, and they have had some standalone releases as well. The one I'm going to focus on is Cool Hand Luke, because I think that is the best looking one out of these 2 new ones. If you're not familiar, Cool Hand Luke is a Paul Newman film from the 1960s, a prison camp drama where he is subjugated to prison life and he wants to escape. And in many ways, Paul Newman's character is treated like a martyr to the other prison inmates, because initially they don't like him, but they come to grow towards him. It's a really great film, and it's quite interesting that Stuart Rosenberg, the director, never really went on to make another great film on the level of Cool Hand Luke. A few people have taken issue with how the colours look in the film. Some people have said the colours were pushed a bit too much. They said the characters' faces look a bit too red, which doesn't really make sense to me because the characters in the film, they spend all day outside working manual labour. These characters' skin that is very tanned and sunburnt, so it didn't look unnatural to me at all. The film is quite absent of bright colours. The brightest colours in the film are probably the clear blue sky, and then Paul Newman's eyes are probably the next most colourful thing. Everything else is quite drab, a lot of grey, a lot of brown, and in terms of the HDR grade pushing colours further, I think people haven't been blown away because it's just not a colourful film necessarily. So all of that is a long way of saying that Cool Hand Luke on 4K from Warner Brothers, while not a perfect disc by any means, is a great 4K presentation and is certainly better than the older Blu-ray. Next we have a Criterion 4K release. I've talked about this one a few times on the channel already because I think it probably is their best 4K presentation this year. It's Dazed and Confused, the classic from the 1990s. This is of course a cool hangout movie, end of school, summer break coming up, a great film. But with the 4K presentation, I wasn't expecting it to be as good as it is. Everything across the board looks improved over the older Blu-ray discs. The clarity in terms of presentation, the detail in people's faces and their costumes and the locations, and then the colours on top of that with the HDR grade. Everything just looks amazing. And of course, music and sound is a very important part to this film. It has such an incredible soundtrack. So all round, this is a great 4K disc. Certainly one of my favourites of the year so far, and I imagine it's going to be on my list by the end of the year. If you're after any of these titles in particular, I'll include some purchasing links in the description of this video. If you do use those, it helps the channel at no additional cost to you, so I thank you for that. Then we come to an Arrow Video 4K release. It's not your typical Arrow Video fare. It is The Last Emperor from Bernardo Bertolucci. This is the theatrical version presented on 4K. You do also get the extended version, but only on a Blu-ray. And the film is just stunning. It's absolutely an epic film. It's so good. Many people dismiss this as Oscar bait from the time, which it was up for a lot of Oscars, and it did win a lot of Oscars as well. But this has absolutely survived the decade since and is still a classic. They just don't make films like this today. This is an epic story, and I just think the presentation from Arrow is very good indeed. The Dolby Vision grade is just beautiful. The clarity in the picture is absolutely great as well. And if you're comparing this to the older Blu-ray from the Criterion collection, it's just a no-brainer. This is so good in comparison. Moving on to another boutique label now, it's Kino Lorber's 12 Angry Men. And again, comparing this to the older Criterion Blu-ray, this is just such an improvement. This film, in its black and white, stunning photography, looks so good on the 4K disc. This is the kind of film that naysayers would say doesn't need a 4K presentation because it's a black and white film, it's only set in one room, there's not a lot of action going on here. But when you watch this and when you look at the clarity in the picture, how good it looks, it absolutely deserves a 4K treatment. And as we know, films that were shot on film tend to get more out of the 4K format than modern digital films. And with this release, not only is the presentation a stunning one, in terms of special features on the Blu-ray, you get some great features, but you also get the 1990s remake of the film from William Friedkin on the Blu-ray, again with a great cast. So that is such a nice bonus to get if you're already getting this for the original film in great quality. And moving on to yet another one of my favourite Blu-ray labels, we have this one, the Texas Chainsaw Massacre from Second Sight Films. This is the limited edition package that came out from them a few months ago, but you can get this in a standard version as well. They do such a good job of packaging and everything that you get inside the box, including books and posters and things like that. But what we're really talking about here is the film and how good the film looks and sounds. And they really put care and attention into this release. I don't own any of the other Texas Chainsaw Massacre 4K releases from around the world, but I know people that do. They have every single release of this film, and they all say that this is the best presentation. You don't need me to tell you that this is a classic of the genre, such an important touchstone for many horror filmmakers that would come after this film. And for such a disturbing film, it's actually quite a beautiful film to watch and very artfully done. And on the 4K presentation with the colours enhanced and the increased clarity, it just absolutely is still one of the best 4K experiences I have had this year. So it had to make this list. That was just a quick look at some of the 4K releases I have loved this year so far. Like I said at the start of the video, I have many more titles that I could have picked from for this video. So if you liked this and you'd like to see a bit more, then just let me know and I can make a follow-up video to this one. If you want more 4K recommendations from me, then just click the video that is on screen right now. Thanks very much for watching, and I'll see you soon.